Before we get rolling in today's show, I got a little bit of a bone to pick with all of the subscribers here on New York Giants Now. We have 29.3 thousand subs on the channel, and that's awesome. Very thankful, one of the fastest and biggest growing channels on Giants YouTube. But only 3.1 thousand people have their notification turned on, which is only 14%, and that is one of the lowest at the company here at Chat Sports. Let's change that. First off, subscribe to the channel if you're not. We put out videos every day on the latest Giants news and rumors. And then once you have subscribed, go down below, hit the bell icon. It looks just like that. And select turn your notifications on for every video that we put out here on the channel so you never miss a show. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we got a lot to discuss as Jarrad Davis, the inside linebacker for the New York Giants, has underwent knee surgery this summer, and he is expected to be out long term. So we'll break that down on the tail end of the show. But first, let's start with the biggest story surrounding the New York Giants right now, and that is Saquon Barkley and his potential contract extension. He is on the franchise tag at $10.09 million and has until Monday, July 17th, for he and the Giants to agree to a long-term deal. If that is not done by that 4 p.m. Eastern deadline, then Saquon Barkley will have two decisions. A, sit out for the season, or B, play on the franchise tag. And right now, Diana Russini of ESPN is reporting that Barkley is threatening to sit out game one or multiple games of the upcoming Giants season if a long-term deal is not done and he has to play on the franchise tag. He clearly does not want to play on the tag. That has been discussed multiple times, and he has said that on numerous occasions. Now Russini is coming out saying that Barkley may sit out a couple of games. And of course Saquon is going to say that. That's the only card that he really can play to try to win back some leverage, because the Giants have all the leverage in this situation. He can either play on the franchise tag, not play, or agree to a long-term deal. And with the Giants having that franchise tag option in their back pocket, they are always going to have the leverage. So, of course, Saquon Barkley is going to play this card right now because it's the only chance to win back some of that leverage. He wants a long-term deal. And Russini tweeted this out. She works for ESPN as an NFL insider and said, as we near the deadline for the Giants and Saquon Barkley to strike a long-term deal, I'm told the two sides remain at a stalemate. The deadline to strike a long-term deal is Monday at 4 p.m. She also went on to say that Saquon Barkley has made it clear the franchise tag is undesirable. I'm told his availability for week one against the Dallas Cowboys will be in serious question if he does not get a long-term deal done with the New York Giants. And it's not just week one against the Cowboys that theoretically Barkley could miss. He has all the way up until week 8 to make a decision. He could sit out all 8 first weeks and then return week 9. But if he doesn't, he's going to be out pretty much for the rest of the season. And every game Barkley would miss, he would lose about $561,000. I'm a fan of Barkley. I think he's a really smart man, and I don't think he's turning down that type of change to not get a long-term deal done. And if Barkley does not sign the franchise tag by week 8, he is done for the 2023 season. So although there is a deadline coming up this Monday, I do not expect this saga to go away unless a long-term deal is done. I also think this is important to know. There's multiple ways for players to hold in and hold out, and let's explain right here. A player who holds out during training camp, which opens in July, can be fined $50,000 per day, which is up from $30,000 per day under the previous collective bargaining agreement. The previous CBA also allowed teams to forgive accumulated fines once a deal was reached. But that is no longer an option unless the absent player is on a rookie contract. Instead of going on a holdout, players can also hold in, which is essentially a collective bargaining agreement loophole. As a hold-in, the player shows up to training camp on time, but does not partake in team activities until his contract dispute is settled. The player avoids daily fines for unexcused absences and simply refuses to work. So this could go in a multitude of ways if a long-term deal is not done for Barkley. But at the end of the day, I do not believe that Saquon is going to sit out, because if he signs that franchise tag and he plays games this year, he is going to make $10 million guaranteed. And that is a lot of money, especially for a running back. Saquon is a super smart and calculated guy. He is not going to pass up on the chance at $10 million guaranteed. Obviously, he wants a long-term deal. But even if he plays on the franchise tag this year, plays on the franchise tag next year, that's $22.5 million guaranteed over the next 2 seasons. And that would be the third most guaranteed money of any running back in the NFL at signing. So there is no reason for Saquon to sit out, but he has to play this card because it's the only one he has in his back pocket that might win him back some leverage. Boomer Esiason, though, on WFAN said, quote, "I'm hearing Saquon Barkley's deal gets done by Monday and could be worth up to $14 million per year." So $14 million on average annual value. So you got a little bit of conflicting reports right here. Diana Rossini says they're at a stalemate. Boomer Esiason, he says he's hearing a deal could get done. This was the full quote from Boomer. He said, "I believe they'll come up with a deal before Monday. I just feel like he's going to end up exhausting everything and is going to have to take the money. Take the deal the Giants have on the table. I've heard it may possibly be up to $14 million. And there's been a couple of reported and rumored deals. None of these are 100% true. These are all rumors, and these are the leaks that we are hearing that Barkley didn't like. Remember, when he spoke to the media at his youth camp that he held a couple of weeks ago, he said, "I thought this was family business," and family business stayed inside the walls in MetLife and in the Giants front office. But all these deals were leaked, and according to the leaks, Barkley rejected a deal during the season worth $12.5 million. He also reportedly rejected a deal of $13 million, and then right before the franchise tag, they rumored were to have offered him $14 million per year, and he rejected all of those. Why did he reject them? Was because reportedly the guaranteed money was not up to par with what he was asking for. But if you just look at the average annual value and compare that to what the rest of the backs in the NFL are getting, those numbers would make him a top 4 highest paid back. I mean, you look at the highest paid running backs per year right now on average annual value. We still have Dalvin Cook featured in this list just to kind of give you an idea of how risky it is to pay some of these running backs. Minnesota did it, and then they moved on from him. So there's only 3 guys right now making more than $12.5 million per year on average annual value, which the Giants have offered more than Saquon Barkley every single time. But it's not the average annual value that I believe is the sticking point, and it shouldn't be. It's the guaranteed money. So let's take a look at the most guaranteed money at signing that all the top running backs in the league make. These are the 5 highest running backs that have the most guaranteed money when they sign their deal. Number 1 is Christian McCaffrey at $30 million. Derrick Henry is at $25.5 million. That's why I said a couple of minutes ago, even if Barkley plays on the tag this year and next year, he would have $22.5 million in his bank account, and that would be the 3rd most guaranteed money of any back in the NFL. So there's a couple of ways this could go, but if I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that a deal still gets done between Barkley. And I'm going to keep saying it the same way I have said it since the franchise tag was applied. Why do I think a deal gets done? Because the Giants want Saquon Barkley to be a Giant. They wouldn't have offered him 3 contracts if they didn't want him here long term. Also, Barkley wants to be a Giant. He is the face of this organization, and he has said time and time again, I want to only play for the Giants. I want to retire a Giant. He wants to follow that same historic career of Eli Manning where he can retire when he's going into the Hall of Fame and say, once a Giant, always a Giant, and only a Giant. Saquon Barkley wants to be here. The Giants want Saquon Barkley here. So I believe when Monday rolls around and 4 p.m. Eastern gets here, a long-term deal will be signed, and Barkley will be a Giant for the foreseeable future. But what do you think? I know I'm not always the voice of everyone's opinions, and that is okay. We are allowed to disagree, and I actually like that because it makes me have to expand my thoughts and listen to what you guys say. So I'll ask you, what happens with Saquon Barkley? Does he get an extension? If you think so, type E, or if you think he plays on the franchise tag, type F. Let me know in the comment section. We're going to talk about Jarrad Davis and his injury that might have him out for the season in just a quick bit. But first, take advantage of the deal of the day we have on the channel. You can get a Giants hat and a Giants t-shirt for less than $25 if you go to chatsports.com Giants hat combo. This link right here. Put that into your browser or click it because it's in the comments and description of today's show and get to shopping. Rep the team, rep the squad for the upcoming season on a discount. Hat, t-shirt, less than $25. It's a steal of a deal. Take advantage of it right now. All right, let's close out today's show with some major injury news surrounding the New York Football Giants. As Jarrad Davis, the inside linebacker that was signed by the Giants last season near the end of the year, that started the last 3 games of the season, is expected to be out long-term after he underwent knee surgery earlier this summer. And this is brutal news for the New York Giants. You thought he was going to be the guy inside the middle of this defense next to Bobby Okereke that would stop the run game, that would help you beef up that inside linebacker room. But he's not going to be here, it sounds like, long-term. That was the quote that Pat Leonard said. He was the one that reported the news. Shout out to Mr. Pat Leonard. Just brutal, brutal news for the Giants because you finally thought they had a decent inside linebacking core because Davis was decent for the Giants last year after they signed him in Week 17. He played in 3 total games. In Week 18 versus the Eagles, he started. He started 3 games with the Giants. 11 tackles in Week 18, 1 tackle for loss, half a sack, and he played 96% of the defensive snaps. In the playoff round 1 win over the Minnesota Vikings, though that snap count went down to 56%, gave you 2 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, and then when the Giants got the break speed off him in round 2 against the Eagles, he played it again. 90% of the snaps gave you 5 tackles, 0 QB hits, 0 tackles for loss. Overall, the guy gave you in 3 games 18 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and half a sack. He was solid, and he's going to have big shoes to fill with the Giants. I mean, when you look at this current inside linebacker depth chart, outside of Bobby Okereke, there is nobody in this linebacker room that has solid NFL experience and who has performed at a high level. Carter Coughlin is a guy that's really a special teamer. Darian Beavers is a 6th-round pick from the 2022 NFL draft coming off ACL surgery. Deontay Johnson is an undrafted free agent out of Toledo who has impressed in camp this summer, but he's a UDFA. Micah McFadden has really shined, according to Bobby Okereke and Wink Martindale, but he's never been a real impact player in the NFL, and it was only a rookie coming into his 2nd year. Then you got guys like Troy Brown, who was also an undrafted rookie, and then you got Cam Brown, who is a special team specialist. So the Giants could potentially maybe look to NFL free agency and sign a linebacker. Remember, they had a free agency meeting with Deion Jones prior to the NFL draft. So maybe they circle the block on that and look at Deion Jones. Maybe it's not Jones. Maybe they had the physical and the injury stuff was a red flag. Who are some other guys they could look at? Here are the top linebackers left on the market. You got Miles Jack, who was a really high draft pick, 2nd-round guy a couple of years ago. I always have been a fan of him, that fast sideline-to-sideline linebacker. But I think his best days in the NFL are behind him. But I think he's better than anybody else on this depth chart besides Bobby Okereke. Quan Alexander, Zach Cunningham, and Kyle Van Noy are the other guys. Tomorrow's show, we're going to do linebackers the Giants could add via trade, free agency, and practice squad, pretty much Jarrad Davis replacements. We'll do that on the channel tomorrow. But first, I want to ask you this question. Who should replace Jarrad Davis? Who's going to be the guy? Is it Micah McFadden? Is it someone on this roster? Are they going to look to NFL free agency? Could they make a trade for Patrick Queen? He requested a trade earlier this offseason. Give me a guy of who you think should replace Jarrad Davis. And one more time, guys, first off, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't yet, become one of the 29.3 thousand strong that we have on this channel as we continue to grow. But if you are subscribed, be a real one and turn your notifications on. That way, when Saquon Barkley signs that extension, when Saquon Barkley does not sign that extension, the Giants make a move, you guys get a notification sent to your phone letting you know we've got the latest news and rumors coming out for you in a video. So hit that notification bell right now and turn it to all so you get notified every time we do a show on the channel. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for rocking and rolling with us here on New York Giants Now. A little bit of a longer video today. We had a lot of news that we had to get to you. So let's do this. I want to show some love to the people that are showing love to us. If you made it to the end of today's video, I want you to type real one down in the comment section so that I know when I go into the comments in a couple of hours, I'll know who's the real one.